We're going to be carrying on with our songwriting project this week, so you're going to need something to write with and something to write on to make some notes first of all. So for the do now, match the key terms to their descriptions here. Pause the video now. Okay, hopefully you've matched up these terms and descriptions and here are the answers. Pause the video and mark what you got right. So, in the same way that we give notes of a scale numbers, we can also give numbers to chords. These numbers tell us their relationship to other chords in the key. We use Roman numerals to do this, and you've seen this when we studied this at school. When describing chords with numerals, capitals are used for major chords, and lowercase Roman numerals are used for minor chords. So for example, in the key of C major, the chord C major is called chord 1, D minor is called chord 2, E minor chord 3, F, G, A, B, and C. The ones that are in the uppercase, C major, F major, G major, are all major, that's why they're in the uppercase, and the ones that are in the lowercase are the minor chords. D minor, you can hear that it sounds minor, E minor, A minor, and B dim, which means it sounds a bit scrunchy and diminished, and we'll look at that another time. These numerals can be used in any key, so let's look at the key of G major. We've got G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp diminished, G. In this example, chord 1 is G major because the key is G major. The numerals will change depending on the key you're in. Why are some chords written as capital letters while other chords are written in lowercase? We now know that the answer is that capitals are for major chords and lowercase letters are used for minor chords. So in any key, there are primary chords and secondary chords. Primary chords are chords 1, 4, and 5, and they are the strongest chords in a key. For example, in C major, 1, 4, 5, 1. Secondary chords are always chords 2, 3, 6, and 7, and they are the weaker chords in the key. In the table below, they're the blue ones. So in this one, we've got G, which is a primary chord, then A minor, B minor, C major is a primary chord, D major is a primary chord, then E minor and F sharp diminished are secondary chords, and then you get back to G at the end. You'll notice in this example that all of the secondary chords are the minor ones because they're in the lower case, and all of the primary chords are the major ones because they're in the uppercase. It's just something I noticed there. A chord progression is a pattern of chords. You will need to compose your own chord progression for your song. This week, you will compose a chord progression for your verses, which are the main storytelling part of the song. For this, you will use the key of G major, and you'll need to choose 8 chords from this key using a mixture of primary and secondary chords. Here is an example, and I'll play you this example. And I just got to the end there. So you can hear that a mixture of primary and secondary chords were used in this example, and it started on the tonic, chord 1 of G major, and it ended on the subdominant, chord 4 of G major, which leads nicely back into G. So you're now going to make a table on your paper. So compose your own chord progression and input it into your project. So I'd like you to write these down first of all. Definitely start with chord 1, which is G. Use a mixture of primary and secondary chords, but don't use chord 7 because it sounds weird, do you remember? Don't use that one, and you'll need 8 chords in total. So on the next slide you'll find the notes for each chord and an image of how to play them on the keyboard. So use these 6 different chords, and choose your 8 chords for your chord progression. Pause the video now. Okay, so now that you've got your 8 chord progression, Sarah's going to take you through how to put those into your BandLab project.
The first step in writing your pop song is to enter your piano chords into the keys track. So just make sure that you've got your piano track selected. Hopefully you've already decided your chord sequence. I've put mine in the notes section here. It's G, B minor, E minor, D7, G, B minor, E7, C. I've put it there in case I forget it. I've just written it down. That's a nice thing that you can do as well. To start entering your chords, double click in this empty space and you'll see that it gives you 4 empty bars. Actually, I want 8 bars because I've got 8 chords, so I'm going to drag this all the way along to fill the first 8 bars. My first chord is G major and I want this in root position, which means that the bottom note is going to be G. So I'm going to enter my G here. Now you see that's not very long, so I'm actually going to stretch that right out so it fills the whole bar up to the number 2 just there. The other notes of a G major chord are a B and a D. And I like to double the root note of the chord because I think it adds a bit of extra weight and emphasis. My next chord is a B minor chord, so I'm going to put my root position again, so I'm going to have B in the bass, and I also want to have a D, an F sharp, and again I'm going to double that root note to give extra weight to the most important note of the chord. Next it's E minor, so I'm going to find E, which is here, and I need a G, and I need a B. Oh, I'm going to move that one up because I clicked B flat by accident. There we go. And then I want an E to double the root. Next, I want a D7 chord. A 7th chord is when you have the note that is 7 notes above the root note included in your chord. So I need to write a D major chord, D. I've got an F sharp in that, haven't I? Let's just make sure I'm clicking the right one. I need an A, and that 7th, that 7 notes above was C. There we go. And then my next chord is one that I've used before, it's G. So I'm going to go back down, I'm going to find my G, move along. I need a B, I need a D, and I need to double the root again. Next, another chord I've used before, B minor. Find B, I need a D, I need an F sharp, I'm going to put the extra B in, then E minor, used that one before as well. Oh, just drag that one down. And then finally, I'm going to end my progression on a C major chord. So I'm going to find C here, I need an E, which is here, a G, and then double the C, and there I've got my progression. I'm going to have a listen to that now. If I want, I can loop that by highlighting these bars, and I might also want to increase the tempo, so I'm just going to drag this number up to about 180. Listen to that again. And there we go.
Okay, so now you need to go to BandLab, log into our class, click on the assignment and complete your chord progression. Make sure that you save it or submit it so that Sarah and I can have a listen to what you've written. And I look forward to hearing your compositions.